questions of clarification and kind of like butting in and ad-libbing and saying these little details in a conversation solely for the purpose of not being left out of the conversation, okay? So you might have noticed that. You're hanging out with friends, you're traveling, you're meeting new people, and there's somebody who always wants to make sure that they get their little sentence in, or their little phrase in, or they just want to say something that is kind of meaningless and is actually unnecessary, or is a question of clarification based on what people are doing or what the plan is or what everybody is intending to do, not because they're genuinely interested, but more because they just want to make sure that they are included, okay? And the way that that works, it's super frustrating. If you're not the center of attention and you see that there's other more confident people in the situation around you, or you're doubting your own value and things like that, then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna throw little things out there like clarification questions to the boss or the leader or the alphas or whatever. You might even kind of like argue the point of what you should or shouldn't be doing. Not because you even care or it even matters to you, but you're gonna do it just so that you feel like you're included. But what and how that comes across to other people is they can see that you don't really feel comfortable and you're worried about being left out. What I've noticed is that this doesn't really happen that much in the United States, in the UK, Australia, or whatever, in the more wealthy nations of the world. What it stems from, and I'm speaking now directly to Central Europeans, Eastern Europeans, and kind of like South American cultures, a little bit undeveloped countries and cultures in the entire world. And in, for example, a place like Poland or Slovakia, not fully developed nations of the world, there's not a lot of wealth to go around. And when I was in Russia, I was like buying a drink and people would come along with a straw and drink my drink. Okay, and the drink was even like $2 or $3 US. And in a place like Eastern Europe, people are so aware of whether or not they're being like fucked over by the government or fucked over by their friends, or if they're getting a fair and equal deal to everybody else. So they're always super fucking self-conscious of whether or not they're getting their fair share of the attention or if they're being taken advantage of. And so that starts coming up in conversation, especially when I'm seeing Eastern European or, for example, South American cultured people coming to places like here in Norway or Australia or the United States. And that, it's kind of a passive-aggressive thing. It's not an abundant thing or a sharing type of thing. It's kind of like, fuck you, I want to make sure that I get my fair share of the attention as well, or fuck you, I'm not going to be ignored. But obviously something passive-aggressive or doing something for the purpose of avoiding scarcity, doing something out of fear, rather than like adding abundance or sharing, that's obviously a really, really bad thing. Think in contrast now to the strong, dark, silent type, right? The strong, silent type doesn't say very much, gets on with the job, and he can work with what information he's given, and he doesn't need to be the center of attention because that guy is taking care of his own business. He's just taking care of his own business. He doesn't need to be noticed or acknowledged. He's not doing it for validation, and he doesn't fear being left out. And to be honest, if you are in a pattern where you're doing things to avoid being left out, it's probably because of your upbringing, your culture. You were cast not as the alpha when you were growing up, but you're going to start feeling it in the conversation. And it's really bad because a vibe or a connection or a warmth in a conversation between two people, that's when the conversation is moving forward, you're exchanging ideas, you're enjoying the vibe that you're building together. And then all of a sudden somebody might say, but what if? But what if? Can I clarify that question? Oh, let me just tell you this extra information. And all of a sudden, this nice forward-moving vibe, this warm vibe, like put the handbrake on, slows everything down. And what was moving forward nicely, the leaders or the guys who really get it, they have to stop. And they're like, oh yeah, to clarify blah, 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 could you please keep up? Or could you please stop micromanaging the conversation so we can get lost in our expression and our free exchange of ideas, our stupidity, our delusion, our grandiose planning, the silliness of it all by getting too thorough or attention to detail. And if you are having a tendency where you're trying to like butt in and just add a little bit, let it fucking go. Just accept and say, okay, cool, good idea. Move forward with the idea, move forward with the plans that everybody's making. And then you're going to enjoy the show as well. Like, you're going to enjoy the process, and people are going to feel more warm with you, because when you're throwing up those ifs and buts and qualifications and detailed analysis of otherwise a social, fluid and moving thing, you're just going to break the vibe. And the people who are free thinkers and are good at exchanging emotional ideas, they're not going to want to be slowed down by people who are doing it out of scarcity, rather than about building the abundance and building the momentum and building that warm vibe of the conversation. This idea itself is kind of esoteric to me. I know when I notice it that I don't like it and that it doesn't help and it annoys other people around me. But as a leader, if you're a leader and you have other people around you doing this, be the guy who can kind of like joke about it and say sarcastically, like, dude, we don't need to fucking micromanage the details. Get the fuck outside of your head. I'm sure you can figure out what we're saying. You don't need like a written transcript and a blueprint of what the plan is to walk from the home to the bar, or from the bar back to the after party, okay? Let's just go. Take the information that you've got, make the most of it, figure it out. It's fun when things are open to interpretation. It's not fun when you decode the meaning of absolutely everything. It kind of slows things down, and it takes the elements of surprise out of it. So, point made. Stop micro-clarifying everything. Stop saying but, and stop trying to interject out of a fear of not being noticed. It's actually better to not be noticed and relax and just get on with your own business and have that quiet, calm warmth shared between you and other people. That's actually going to make people calmer and more open to you, rather than you trying to keep yourself noticed by throwing in little annoying sayings.